Okay, ready when you are.
Mr. Payne, sir, I do realize, I believe I have determined what truly happened to Mr. Beancounter.
Finally! Thank goodness. Do I still have time left on the clock?
Yes, you do. Just sneaking under the wire.
Tell me, Chad, who did this horrible deed to my beloved husband? It wasn't a simple crime to deduce, Mr. Drew. I am sorry to say that everywhere I looked, I found people who would have been happy to help Mr. Headley shake off his mortal coils, sadly. Close to home, my brother and sister had a motive of revenge. They hated and blamed Mr. Headley for the collapse of our family ice cream business, even though Mr. Headley paid for our education. Plus, they were present at the shareholders' retreat, so they had opportunity as well.
Screw you, detective boy. Throw us under the bus. You're no brother of mine. Chip Screamer, I never thought I would see the day that you accused your own flesh and blood of such a crime. Does ice cream not flow in your veins?
Nilla, I have to look at every possibility. You and Rocky did give a motive and the opportunity to slip fish into Mr. Headley's dinner. But it is okay, Nilla. I don't think you and Rocky did. You guys wanted to face Mr. Headley's tribute painting over there. But I don't think you and Rocky would have had the guts.
Well, and we didn't do it either.
Just because you didn't murder him doesn't get you off the hook, my brother. They seem to have been an addition to the buffet made by you and Nilla. You both were seen adding chocolate flakes to the triple chocolate cake at the dessert buffet. Do you want to tell me what was in those flakes, Rocky?
I ain't talking. I didn't do nothing, and with no fish, and I ain't no murderer.
Fortunately for you, Rocky, you aren't very good at poisoning. The police had already surmised that someone added shavings of chocolate laxatives to the triple chocolate cake icing. Everyone who consumed that cake had a large enough bowel movement that next morning that they reported them in the police incidents. You really didn't piss anyone off. They were actually quite relieved. So much of what occurred in Mr. Headley's murder seemed like a happen chance. A small bit of unexpected misfortune, a coincidence. The fish in the buffet, the remote location, and the missing EpiPen. The only vehicle on site not working, the difficulty laid in to determine what steps the murderer took, what he just took advantage of. Let's start with location. Location, location, location. And the retreat was the perfect location for murder. You may wonder who selected that site, and my investigation to Zeus said a bright Beancounter was the one to make those arrangements.
She did murder my baby.
This duty is something to think of, and all I can say is, well, I will have you group of lame-brained idiots understand yet again that I am an intern. Interns do not make decisions. We go get coffee for free, and we have to pay for the coffee ourselves. It's the only job where you lose money by the hour. I did not decide the site. I merely passed the booking information from Winifred to Uncle Les.
Ethel is quite right, Chip, and she doesn't deserve your suspicion. The final approval of the site was made by Headley.
He's right. I thought their website would be nice for board with shareholders. They're sitting around trying to set up here for constructing the chance.
But nevertheless, the event was held at a site so remote that it was only accessible by charter transit, and Ethel was involved.
Dumb boy! How many times do I have to tell you I am an intern? I don't make decisions.
Neither my daughter or I had anything to do with Headley's tragic death, and I am greatly insulted that you should even consider making unfounded allegations against us.
Nevertheless, my investigation does indicate that both of you had an opportunity to create problems by arranging for the remote resort and the lack of readily available transit in case of any emergency. You must agree, all options must be explored. And of course, both you and Ethel inherit the remaining shares of Headley held in the company. A powerful motive for murder.
How dare you?
Drew? Chip, our son Moss catered the event, and his menu did not include fish. Moss knew that fish would kill Headley. Not even for a French cooking school, I believe that his son killed his father.
I am sorry to say this, Mr. Drew. The uncovering of the source of the fish will never be found. There were too many people to have the opportunity to tamper with it.
Ah, they all killed my baby.
Murder is my favorite part. Really, you cannot let that.
Oh, sorry, too busy pacing. Well, look at the time.
Hey, hold on a sec. You can't make me leave now. I still have time.
Not very much. And remember, we leave whether they are done with your moral history or not.
So, we will never pinpoint how Mr. Headley's food was contaminated, and we cannot truly say that the remote location caused the death either. Although, it did obviously contribute to the long delay in getting the emergency medical teams on site. And that is why I turned my attention to what medical assistance Mr. Headley didn't receive. As we have heard, his EpiPen was taking part in art, which Copperhead was indeed aware of. So the next question is, did Henna plant the fish and then ensure his EpiPen wouldn't be there to save him?
No, I didn't.
Ah, she murdered my baby.
You think we could turn her for a fainting goat? There's your man later.
And how convenient it was for the murderer that the only vehicle on the resort was disabled. That vehicle could have easily saved Mr. Headley's life by driving out to meet the ambulance. And then, all the pieces fell together in my brain. I suddenly realized there was one common element. Only one person at the retreat involved in each of these events. One person knew they could take advantage of a remote retreat. That same person knew the menu would be a buffet, easy to tamper with. They also knew that Headley's EpiPen wouldn't be there to save him. They knew the travel arrangements eliminated any hope of alternative transport. And lastly, they were seen coming out of the garage after they disabled the only vehicle on the retreat, therefore sealing Headley's fate.
Les! He was the one who was involved in all this. He did this to me, that rotten fucker. If I could just get my hands around his neck.
Temper.
Les Bean Counter was the only person in the position to take advantage of the perfect storm of factors. Mortician Burns, would you please call the police and have your assistant take Mr. Bean Counter to await their arrivals? Les, do you have any last words before they take you away?
Anything to say? Really? To an ice cream scoop, boy? Your conclusions may well be right, young man, but my lawyer will drive a car through some of your assumptions in court.
Ah, he murdered my baby.
You're also a little big relative when she runs across the stage.
Well, that's that then. It's time for us to go.
Hard to say goodbye.
You had a good, rich life, Headley the Encounter, filled with much love. You should be proud.
Does that mean God doesn't know the days? And I'm not going to hell?
No, no hate, no hell. Not for gays, women, Jews, Muslims, atheists, Wiccans either. God doesn't care about any of that. You fleshies added that cop out by yourselves. God isn't rules and complexities. God is love, plain and simple. Come on, start that act of yours.
The piano music.